Welcome, everybody, back to Guardian Games. We are Portland Paper, and we are bringing you Modern Mondays. I'm Urchin Cully, and I'm here tonight with
Ian Lunger.
All right, and for our round one matchup tonight, we're going to see Amulet Titan squaring up against a Whirza build. I believe this is at least 3 colors. We'll see if there are more. I know it's at least Esper. So let's see what's going to happen here. This should be pretty interesting because I know the Whirza deck has access to things like Ensnaring Bridge and maybe some other utility artifacts. But Amulet, let's see.
Yeah, there's a lot of play to this matchup. I don't know if George is on the Karn package. That was something that kind of matched up well against some of these. I don't know if
That's a
if I want
brick.
to call them.
That's a brick on a Once Upon a Time. Oh.
Wow, that's really rough. It's Once Upon a Time feels like a free card until the one time when.
Almost never happens, but when it does, it's horrible.
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
That is
George
awful.
starting off with a Field of the Dead, which is not where you want to be. Vinnie just going to play a Polluted Delta and a Mishra's Bauble.
The nice part about the Titan deck is you can mulligan fairly low, and the bounce lands will get you right back in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a singular enough purpose that as long as George has access to a Titan, and I believe there is also an Amulet in hand.
Yeah, so we've got a Breeding Pool and an Amulet. So that'll be getting there. At least starting to. So we shocked in that Breeding Pool.
And it looks like an Azusa and a Castle Garenbrig are the other cards in hand. So with no bounce land, we're in trouble. But if we rip a bounce land off the top, we can get there in 2 turns.
I absolutely understand keeping the hand with the Once Upon a Time because the odds of hitting a bounce land are really good.
Yes. There's usually around 9 in the deck. So definitely should be able to hit one.
I'm interested in why that Breeding Pool came in untapped. I don't necessarily see a reason offhand, but maybe we will see.
Oh, yeah, interesting.
Oh, here we go. It's 4-color Whirza.
Maybe wanting to bluff counter magic and not terribly concerned about the life totals.
Wouldn't expect. Oh, okay. So we've got a main deck Damping Sphere from Vinnie. I was wondering about this because it's definitely a good meta call to be main decking Damping Sphere in a toolbox deck. The Goblin Engineer is going to be able to get that into play quite easily if he has any other artifact. And I was definitely wondering because that's the kind of thing that you might see move between main deck and sideboard depending on the meta. And Damping Sphere extremely strong in this matchup.
Although George's hand currently is fairly insulated from it.
Yes, he doesn't happen to have a bounce land at all, so there's nothing to shut down. Unfortunately, he has an Azusa and no additional land drops, as well as a second Azusa in hand. Not where you want to be. He has the Titan. But Vinnie has to have another artifact to be able to get this Damping Sphere into play. And if he doesn't, then one bounce land, George is going to go off. Tapped Hallowed Fountain. Pithing Needle, name Castle Garenberg. Okay, that's going to make things slightly harder for George.
So,
but not a lot.
Does the needle can't stop mana abilities, correct? So I guess it can only.
Oh no, it cannot stop anything. That was not good.
I don't know if that.
It doesn't stop anything.
You know what? I think Vinnie's probably just playing the needle and has plans to switch it out for the Damping Sphere.
Yeah.
But it is a legal name, so Vinnie is playing legally here. But I think what we're going to find out from George here is that essentially Pithing Needle is a blank currently.
It doesn't do anything. I think you're absolutely right that Vinnie just played it so he can switch it out for the Damping Sphere. And I think George will figure that out really quickly when that happens.
But. Yeah, George, I think doing the correct thing here, calling a judge over to confirm that, in fact, Pithing Needle does not prevent Castle Garenbrig.
Yeah, it is not.
It's important to ask the right question if you ever get a judge call with something like Pithing Needle, because if you ask the question, can my opponent name this card with Pithing Needle? The answer is going to be yes. But does the needle affect work against this card is a different question
Yes.
entirely, and the important question to ask in this situation.
The question to the judge is, I want to use this card for this. Can I do that with the Pithing Needle and play naming this card? So we're going to see this bounce land hit 3 times. Go ahead and make 6 mana.
Wow, and just a little bit of positive karma for George after missing with the Once Upon a Time. Does manage to...
Yeah, he found the other bounce land off his second Once Upon a Time. I wonder if this is backing up to the first bounce trigger because Vinnie... Vinnie was slow to do that.
Needed to Damping Sphere.
Yeah. So you can't respond to playing a land, but the bounce land comes in and puts 2 triggers on the stack, both the Amulet trigger and the bounce trigger, and those Vinnie can respond to. And by responding to both of those triggers, George doesn't even get to tap it once for 2 mana. He'll have to have colorless off it, the whole thing.
Right.
But George gonna sneak in that Titan there. Gonna go find some more useful lands now that there's a Damping Sphere in play.
Yeah, interesting. We go for basic forest. So we're obviously trying to hit the 7 different lands for Field of the Dead here.
I also like getting Talaria West because that opens up the opportunity for him to transmute for EE and blow up the Damping Sphere if he wants to.
Yep.
Not that he has a lot more to do with his hand and all that mana, because he just has the bounce land and another Azusa.
Right. Right, yeah, Damping Sphere definitely neuters this Amulet Titan deck, but, you know, at the end of it all, you're still left with a 6/6 Trampler.
Big.
That is ramping.
Giant Titan.
But we actually saw this last week with the Whirza deck playing against this Amulet deck, where the Amulet deck can provide a giant board, but the outlet for these Whirza decks and Paradoxical Whirza decks is they can almost just go infinite and just kind of overwhelm any board position.
Yep. So Vinnie here's got an Ensnaring Bridge in play, which is going to stop that Titan from grabbing more lands. That's going to make it much more difficult for George to claw his way out of this. He's got 2 bounce lands in hand. He's going to... he could make blue with Breeding Pool, blue with Talaria West, 1 other mana, play a bounce land, bounce the Talaria West, and transmute. That's an option available to him. I don't know that he's going to easily be able to get there with that Field of the Dead. Obviously, you want to get those 7 lands so you can just keep playing the bounce land and generating zombies. But Vinnie, if he can keep his hand low, isn't going to care. Though he does have quite a grip at the moment. But he also, as soon as he finds Thopter Sword, the game's over. So, right.
Yeah. So George just played a bounce land. I think we still need to bounce something. Yep. We're gonna stop things for just a second here. Oh, replayed it. Okay. Okay. So we bounced the forest. That's my fault. We bounced the forest and replayed it. I guess
I think maybe that was spoken through and not.
Right, and we missed it.
We missed it on the table mic, but all right. Here's Whirza. The clock is ticking for George here. We've got a construct and a lot more mana. What else do we have? So now we're just digging for the combo. Gonna shock in the steam vents.
Man, it feels like there's no time to lose if you're George trying to transmute that Talaria West and get the bridge off the table.
Yeah, I think last turn I might have been more interested in making the 3 mana bouncing the Talaria West and transmuting it. Here's the Thopter Foundry in the graveyard. He's got an active Goblin Engineer, so he can sack the construct and put that into play whenever he wants. And then he just needs to find the sword.
This version of Whirza is maybe like, it's almost like the Whirza from a month or 2 months ago.
Maybe more than that at this point. It's really the first incarnation of the Whirza deck before Eldraine. And I think this deck has fallen off because of the powerful cards in Eldraine, such as Oko, that are incentivizing you just to play other strategies.
Sure.
This deck never quite made use of Emery, even though it felt like a snap include at the beginning.
Interesting.
It's still interesting, and I think that revisiting a prison-style deck... I haven't thought that much about this specific deck. It's just very difficult to be playing an Ensnaring Bridge deck in an Oko meta, but...
Yeah, does Engineer just kind of feel like a worse version of Emery almost? I mean, I guess it's more exacting.
It has the Entomb. So it lets you do a toolbox thing. So this is very much a toolbox deck.
Okay.
So now we're going to see the play where we make blue, blue, green, bounce the Teleria West. Or blue, blue, colorless.
So... where is George getting the blue? Don't we need to tap?
He tapped the Teleria West for blue.
Okay, but we need one more blue, right?
Breeding pool.
Okay. Oh, it's a breeding pool.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Now that they're running a breeding pool, I get lost too.
Yep.
Which it seems like a common include now, maybe for Field of the Dead.
Yep.
And just Castle Garenbrig lets you get away with.
Dude, that breeding pool art is so close to the
really
chamber art.
So we're gonna go for Bajuka Bog here. I would. Oh, Vinnie doesn't have a mana up. Ooh. I thought, I didn't
and it
see
takes
that
red specifically.
It does take red specifically. I hadn't noticed that he didn't leave a red up because I was thinking to myself that he can even engineer it in response to a bog, but no, he cannot. He was just going for it. Well, here's a Whir of Invention for Vinnie. So assuming he has another Thopter Foundry, which this deck typically does, he can fetch that straight into play. That bog isn't going to become too much of a problem if Vinnie can find both pieces on the same turn, because George has no instant speed way to put that bog into play like a Sakura Tribe Scout.
Right.
So if Vinnie can piece this together all in one turn, he should be in good shape.
Yeah, it's honestly still quite a difficult position for George. That was felt like the bog was basically to just not die, but I mean, George is just going to be slowly ripping cards off the top, and unless we can find an Engineered Explosives, which should be in the deck, or a Reclamation Sage, which may be in the deck.
So he transmuted specifically for the bog and not the EE. But I think he's correct in identifying that more mana doesn't do a lot for him right now. So blowing at the Damping Sphere doesn't really matter. I think that was correct. He would have lost the game right now if he hadn't bogged that Thopter Foundry, because that is the complete combo.
Right. But getting rid of the bridge is, I think,
you're right.
#1 priority here.
If he'd taken out the bridge, the constructs are 4/4s. Could have done a lot of damage with the Titan.
And notably, George does have 4 zombies on the table, and Vinnie had 2 cards in hand. But we are going to Whir here.
I actually like the idea of getting EE. Did he have, I don't know that, oh no, he didn't have enough to immediately cast EE on 3 and blow it, because if he did, he could have attacked with the Titan and gotten the bog that way.
Yep. Yeah, I think the issue is colored sources for George here, because a lot of the colored sources were getting used to transmute the Teleria West.
Okay, so we're going to see a Pithing Needle naming Walking Ballista, which is not what I would go for here. I would want to stop that EE.
Yeah, I think EE or Teleria West is another...
Teleria West is a good name.
A decent name. I think, obviously, Ballista is a way that George could channel that mana into a kill, but I think it's a slower way than just getting the bridge off the board.
I love the fact that it's his second Pithing Needle. I respect someone who plays more than one main deck Pithing Needle.
That's a skill testing card.
I love
for
it.
Sure.
It's a point of pride that I won't play Sorcerer's Spyglass. I guess I'll play it in Chalice on 1 decks, but that's it. We're shortcutting that, or is a flip. What do we got? Galvanic Blast. Blast it.
So, what do you hit?
Go face.
I agree with you.
You take the Azusa. I'm just being.
Oh yeah, I guess because you're not really planning on winning incrementally in any
No.
case. Sure.
I mean, yeah, you're not. Not with that Urza on the board. The Urza
Yeah.
isn't going anywhere. So if you have the Thopter Foundry sort of the meat combo, you're just winning.
Vinny will find out that there is another Azusa in hand for George next turn.
Womp womp. Gonna snap that cold snap. Snow Island. We're just gonna make more constructs. And by that, I mean sapphires with bodies. So eventually, there's just too many zombies in play. I was gonna say eventually he can engineer away his own bridge and attack, but not without something like Cryptic Command to tap George's team. Speaking of, I've been really enjoying lately experimenting with decks that tap your team, bounce my bridge, kill you. Anyway.
It is pretty rude. Yeah, Cryptic is.
I love Cryptic Command.
Cryptic is pretty great. I like to come up with stories for when
What
two
are we doing?
legendary permanents. We're calling a judge about the Damping Sphere, trying to figure out if we have to tap more when the opponent has cast a spell.
That is a spell. That is a spell. Yes. It does. Yeah. Boink, boink, boink. Zombies. Just need that EE. Turns out, playing bounce lands to trigger Field of the Dead, not bothered by Damping Sphere. It was really actually, Field of the Dead was such a great ad for Amulet because it was so linear.
Yeah. Yeah, it's insane. It's hard to interact with threat that's basically the best top end that you could ask for.
So good. Speaking of Field of the Dead, we can get to that later. So we're going to see a Mishra's Bauble and a Mox Opal. We're going to go to combat. It's not going to mean a lot. We're going to pass the turn. There's just too many zombies for Vinny ever to get through. He needs some way to clear them.
Well,
so
the ensnaring bridge is not going to let him.
Right. I mean, he could get rid of the if he can engineer away the ensnaring bridge whenever he wants.
Ah, good point.
Oh, he doesn't have a target. But he could sack the bauble and do it.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think George just ripped the Talaria West, which is going. Yeah, he did. So now we can go ahead. Oh, he doesn't have.
I don't think
he doesn't have the. Yeah, he can. He's got Gemstone Mine, Breeding Pool, one more.
And the bog. The bog is a colored source, but
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's got 6. He doesn't have the colors. You're right.
But we opted not to on George's side, not to transmute.
I would want to transmute there and then have it ready next turn. So we're cracking a bauble. We're in a bauble. Alright. So I believe Vinny is in quite a bit of trouble here. Though if I were George, I would have transmuted on my last turn.
Yeah, it would be really interesting to see what George is kind of waiting on here.
Yeah. He's getting another Thopter Foundry, which is he can immediately engineer that into play, or he can do it in response to a bog, so that's reasonable. What are we doing? Activating Urza. What do we got? The suspense is killing me. It's a Pyrite Spellbomb. Do we want to cast it?
I tend to like to just keep a die by the Damping Sphere on my turn.
Yeah.
Just to be tracking number of spells. It makes things,
I screwed
in my
up
mind,
constantly.
quite a bit easier.
Bad storm count. Okay, we're going to leave the Pirate Spellbomb in exile and leave the... okay, we can instant speed bring the Thopter Foundry into play so we don't have to worry about it getting bogged. We need that EE. We really need that EE.
Yeah, George ripped another Azusa. Not what the doctor ordered on that side. Taking a look at Thopter Foundry here.
Not so lost, very found. Alright, what are we gonna do? Because he's got 10 zombies now. Vinnie has 3 blockers and he's at 15. Oh, he's got many blockers, but his board would be pretty decimated.
It would be close as to if the bridge got knocked out this turn. I guess, yeah, George does have to basically hit lethal.
He does, or it get. Well, no, he can end. If he. Oh, this is complicated.
This is not going to work well because those Goblin Engineers can basically just bring the bridge back.
And he can't bog at instant speed to stop it.
Right, and there's 3 engineers, so that's probably why George has not transmuted. Whew, it's a heady matchup for sure.
So here's a question: do you want to transmute anyway and blow the bridge, get another Talaria West, get another EE if you have 2 in the main deck, and then blow the engineers up?
Well, how do we get the...
Well, if we Talaria West for the EE, blow the bridge, attack with the Titan, get another Talaria West.
But can't Vinnie just use the engineer to sack an artifact to get the bridge back before we can declare attackers?
Yeah, I was thinking you need to be able to EE the engineers, but then you can't get in through the bridge.
Right.
So Vinnie's picked up a fistful of cards here.
Maybe George is playing a main deck. Man, yeah, this is tough. Maybe it has to be both Rex Sage and EE. I do wonder what out George is playing to here. It definitely has to be a combination of things.
Uh-oh.
All right.
So after everything we said about Emery, here she is.
Yeah.
We have Thopter Foundry in play. This is game.
That'll do it.
Yes.
Man, I really want to know what George was playing for, playing to as the out there.
He had thoughts, so.
Because Ballista was needled.
Yep.
So Ballista wasn't an out. Interesting.
Maybe he had multiple EEs and was trying to find out if he could pick them both up. All right, so sideboard options for our players. Let's take a look at that.
So Vinnie takes game 1 here.
Yep. And available for Vinnie in his sideboard, we've got a Graph Digger's Cage, another Damping Sphere, 2 Thoughtseize, 2 Collective Brutality, an Ashiok, 2 Disdainful Stroke, 2 Dead of Winter, a Lavinia, the new one, I think.
Azorius Renegade. Yep.
A Teferi Time Raveler, and 2 Tezzeret, Agent of Bolus.
So Ashiok is a house in this matchup.
Oh, yeah.
So let's actually take a look at Ashiok.
Mostly.
Go ahead.
Mostly the static ability, which prevents players from searching their libraries, which is pretty much the crux of the Amulet Titan deck. Between transmuting, the Titan triggers, the pacts, you really need to be able to search your library.
Yeah. And pretty much it's just that static ability. There's very little reason to be activating the -1 in this matchup.
I mean, the only reason I could think of is if you mill yourself. Because you don't have to exile your own graveyard, even if you mill yourself. You target a player, and then each opponent exiles.
Right.
So you can dig for sword, but minimal.
Certainly. Yeah. Ashiok's fantastic. Lavinia is okay. So Lavinia does stop pacts.
Fast Titans?
No, because Lavinia only... Let me bring up Lavinia, but I believe it only affects non-creature spells or things that cost 0. So Lavinia has very strange templating.
Yes.
It's kind of like two independent abilities. So let's take a look at it.
You're right. It is non-creature, so that's not terribly useful. I would probably
But the
leave
other
Lavinia out.
ability is anything. So the
Yes.
other ability is creatures, which is it is awkward.
Yeah. I would probably leave Lavinia out here. I would bring in the Thought Seizes. I would bring in the other Damping Sphere. How do you feel about Disdainful Stroke against Amulet?
I think it's great. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Fan of Disdainful Stroke.
All right. And then available for George, one Tireless Tracker, one Chameleon Colossus, one Obstinate Bailoff, two Force of Vigor, one Negate, an EE, a Ramunap Excavator, a Reclamation Sage, another Field of the Dead, two Dismember, an Oko, and two Disdainful Stroke.
So I like Dismembers here.
Mm-hmm.
Your life total's not really it can be. This Urza deck can play kind of a mid-range game, but definitely worth trading 4 life to get an Urza off the field.
Absolutely.
I think Oko's great. It gets rid of those annoying things like Ensnaring Bridge. It just turns them into Elk. Um, and Force of Vigor is also great too.
Yep. I don't hate another
And
E.
Tracker, Tracker is also a nice card to just if you kind of get stuck in one of those mid game situations where you just need cards.
Yeah.
You could kind of just turn your bounce lands into 3 draws a turn with Tracker, and accelerate out of that into your answers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because this, we noticed last game he ended up in quite the grind while Vinny was digging for his pieces. Hello, actually, cute bunny. It is great to see you, and you as well, Nuglo and Bogdan11. It is just great to be back after missing a week and see everybody. I love you guys are always here. So
Yeah, we missed you.
missed you.
So Vinny finishing up, I did not see how many cards went in and out for either player, but I imagine there's a good bit of play and a number of cards that I think are going to come in on both sides here.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a good amount of sideboarding.
This is one of those matchups where George is maybe wishing that that they also went back in time and were playing the Karn Amulet
Yeah. Has Amulet
iteration.
been cutting that generally?
Yeah, I haven't seen
Okay.
it in any big lists in quite some time. Actually, that's not true. I've seen 2 Karns in a few lists, but not many of the top ones. You too, Nuglo.
Hmm.
So I'm looking at George's
There we go.
hand.
We've got Selesnya Sanctuary, Amulet of Vigor, Sakura Tribe Scout, I believe a Reclamation Stage,
Castle Garenbrig.
Castle Garenbrig, and
So
two Sakura Tribe Scout, rather.
our
Two amulets.
yeah, our first land is ETB tapped because the Garenbrig does not have the forest to turn it on. But
Yeah.
from there we can play
got
the
some
amulet and then play the bounce land and
gasoline. Yeah, Amulet, Bounce Lands, Tribe Scout. There's a lot of options.
George will have to make the difficult decision of do you keep the bounce land in hand or do you actually play it out? It's one of those things where Amulet forces you to really think about am I a combo deck or am I a late game deck in moments like that because sometimes your best chance at winning is basically not developing your board where you'll just keep the bounce land in hand, hope to get 2 Sakura Tribe Scouts out or 1 plus 2 amulets and go off that way.
Here's a Field of the Dead picked up. I would probably keep the Bounce Land around here.
I think so too.
Yeah, George agrees. We're so smart.
And this casts, even without the Tribe Scout, because of the Castle Garenbrig, this casts Primeval Titan next turn.
Yikes. That's
And
pretty good.
not only that, it's just a straight up win. So if Vinny does not have a way to interact, this is 20 damage available to George.
Yeah, he's got the Titan.
Yep, has a Titan. The Titan will be able to get Slayer Stronghold and a Boros Garrison, and there'll be 2 untapped triggers.
Okay,
So
so
we'll be able to see it be a 10-6.
Vinny not finding the second land. He's got an Engineer in hand and an active Mox Opal. So I'm not sure what he's holding up, but it better be good. Okay, we've got a Disdainful Stroke. That makes sense to me. Get out of here. Phew. Was wondering about that.
And it looks like another Castle Garenbrig and a Field of the Dead in hand for George. So we'll probably see the field tossed out there. via the Secure Tribe Scout. But this is big game for Vinnie.
Yeah, that was a very important disdainful stroke.
Yep.
Making a man off Mox Opal. Gonna make another Mox Opal. We've got 3. 4, 5. Were.
Big gut check.
Damping Sphere you. So now we cannot have another one of those fast Titans just hit the board and take Vinnie out.
It's such a sad feeling when you're playing Amulet Titan and you get Damping Sphere. The card, like, I even kind of like the art on Damping Sphere, but I just have this immediately, like, really negative reaction to seeing that card on the board.
I mean, that's sort of how I feel when I see a Stony Silence. It's like, oh, God.
It's not the card's fault, but...
Oh, look at all those bounce lands that don't make 2 mana.
And that is a Summoner's Pact, not a Titan, so we cannot get that.
Summoner's Pact, a little difficult to deal with Damping Sphere.
I'm honestly kind of surprised we did not see George pick up the forest.
I would have probably looked for the forest. It actually makes colors. And he's already got a bounce land, so if he just wants to trigger field over and over again, that's an option.
Yep.
Castle Garing comes into play tapped for an... Oh, yeah, never mind. Amulet works on that too.
Yep.
Alright. I've got the Damping Sphere. George is slowed. We need to do something, though. Vinnie knows he's got the Field of the Dead and the Selesnya Sanctuary. So Vinnie actually has perfect information here and knows that George is not holding any business at all.
Right. But hey, George just cleared basically 5 lands off the top of the deck, so we're definitely drawing to action.
Titan red on top. And yeah, the Field of the Dead would come in with 2 untapped triggers. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not with the Sakura Tribe Scout, he could totally Titan off the top. Totally Titan off the top. Does Castle Garenbrig cost double green to activate? I believe it does.
It does.
So that is the one issue, and why picking up that forest might have been important.
Right.
Because his only 2 green sources right now are the Castles Garenbrig.
Right. And we see
Ancient
Stirrings.
Old-fashioned ones.
Which this
time.
cannot get the Titan, so I was going to say, if we see the Titan, like, right off the top, that's
forest,
definitely
forest, get the forest! Sorry. He can't actually transmute that.
You're correct. It can't be transmuted, however,
2 blue?
it can get in play. Okay, actually,
no, he can 2 blue and then bounce it, so he can transmute it. But it'll cost him his last bounce land to do so.
Right. It's great sequencing by George here. We see the Summoner's Pact. I almost just want to see the... Oh, we don't have the bounce in anymore. I was going to say I want to see the tracker if it's in there, but...
we no longer have a bounce line in hand, which is why this line... I'm trying to think how this would go if he'd picked up the forest and had the mana for the Titan available with the Castle Garenbrig. He'd still need to find it. So maybe that Once Upon a Time was pretty critical. The Ancient Stirrings, maybe less so. And maybe the Tolari West was good there.
Yeah.
All right, Vinnie with the active Goblin Engineer.
I mean, yeah. I'm sure George has access to Rex Sage, but Rex Sage for Damping Sphere is so mopey against the Engineer.
Yep.
And that's 4 mana.
Here's Urza. Trigger Construct.
Why do they always find Urza? I'm sure people say the same thing about the Titan. Why do
they always have it? Why are they going to be like
find
that?
The Titan?
All right, we're going to Needle Tribe Scout. Do we have a response?
So it's a little difficult. We're not actually allowed to respond.
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
because
you can't respond to the naming of Pithing Needle.
Right.
It's like
you can respond
Mage.
to the casting of Needle, but you can't respond to the naming.
So we're going to play an Azusa. No other lands in hand, though.
Right. We're still waiting on... It can be any land here.
Yeah.
Actually,
He's got enough to pay for the pact.
shouldn't the field have let us cast the Titan because of the 2 amulet
The
triggers?
field makes 2. Bounces. He doesn't have enough green?
Just the 2 Garenbrigs?
Just the 2 Garen Briggs are his only green.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Field makes 2, plus 2 from those, plus 2 green from the Garenbrigs.
That would do it. Did he need the Azusa to do that? No.
No.
Okay. So that actually could have been a Titan there.
So either George doesn't want a Titan, or we missed.
Miss Titan. It's like missing lethal. It's missing Titan.
It's possible that the field adding 2 just wasn't on
George's mind.
Yeah, wasn't on George's radar.
Especially after the Tribe Scout
Right.
thing that happened. Uh-oh,
Right.
uh-oh. We're assembling pieces. He may also have in mind a different target for the Summoner's Pact. What do we got? Another Azusa. That ain't gonna do it.
See. That is tough.
All those lands in hand, though.
And
Or all those lands on the board. He's now not on Titan because he has no lands in hand to add to this or to trigger Amulet of Vigor or to bounce one of his other lands. So this is the problem when Amulet Titan ends up in a situation where it has no bounce lands in hand. It can actually shut itself off.
Yep.
All right,
Yep.
Here's an Astrolabe. We're probably going to take a redraw, look for the insta-win. Or we're going to just go insta-win.
That
does it. That's game. Go get the Opter Foundry. GG.
All right.
All right, so that's going to be Vinnie taking this down 2-0.